Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week. Welcome to our show titled Speak of Africa. What's the news cycle like in Africa this week? The biggest news has to do with French eviction. Just like a tenant who is evicted from his apartment, France is being evicted from many apartments in Africa. Emmanuel Macron is presiding over the collapse of the colonial policy of FrancAfrique. When he came to power, he played games. It's like, okay, I'm a new kind of deal. I'm a new kind of French guy. I'm going to do away with FrancAfrique. But he thought if he just pays lip service, Africans will believe him and things will be okay. But rising anti-French sentiment is blowing in the winds. The wind is blowing, the wind of change is blowing from the Sahel area of Africa down to other parts of the continent. And the wind is blowing FrancAfrique away, okay? The colonial policy of FrancAfrique was actually established by Charles de Gaulle when African countries were about to obtain their independence. Instead of preparing these former colonies for real independence, Charles de Gaulle came up with a colonial contract. He forced these countries to sign a pact. When you sign this pact as an African country, France will support you. France will support you militarily, they will support you politically, they will support you economically, and France will support you socially. Socially, basically what France will be doing is France will continue the policy of assimilation, the direct policy of running your country. Even though France is saying they have left, they have not left, they are still there. Economically, France will monopolize your affairs of trade. France will have the right of refusal. Before you can trade with any other partner, France has to approve or disapprove your decision to trade with another country. So as a sovereign nation, you do not have the right to determine your economic destiny. Your master, France, has to decide for you, the little child. Politically, it means that even though you've achieved independence, what you've achieved is flag independence. It's independence in name only. France still runs the political affairs of your country. France chooses your presidents, even if you organize elections in your country. France dictates who should take over the presidency of that country. And France turns this presidency into an imperial presidency, which means France decides what happens in that country. What are the citizens of the country do not want something? It doesn't matter. So long as France says it's okay, you as a president, you are just like a governor of a French state or a province in France. You are just a governor. You are not a president. And the French presidents tell you in black and white, vous êtes le gouverneur de la France outre-mer. Vous n'êtes pas le président. So that's a message France gives to its former colonies. And it tells the presidents, if you don't listen to what we're telling you, we'll kick you out. Because we have our military bases installed all over the African continent. We can project power militarily. We can intervene to overthrow you or save you if rebels want to attack you. You can see what happened in Chad. In so many instances, the French army came to the rescue of the Chadian president. When rebels are trying to overthrow, even Idriss Déby, when rebels were trying to overthrow him, they were already at the doorsteps in N'Djamena. But French forces beat back these rebels, okay? So French support is very crucial. And at one point, Idriss Déby was like, I did not really want to run for president again, but the French forced me to run again. They forced me to change the constitution. So you can see the negative role France is playing in a lot of these former colonies. Today, the African youth has come of age. They have decided that no, enough is enough. They do not want anything to do with FrancAfrique. This policy is anachronistic. It is out of date. It has to go. This policy is keeping Africa in check. It's making it impossible for African countries that are in the French orbit to develop. And that's the feeling a lot of young people are having. They don't like France anymore because they feel this colonial policy is not good for Africans. They may be migrating. Worst of all, when they migrate through the Mediterranean to France, France dismisses them as les immigrants. They immigrate. They have to go back to their country. But France is there reaping all the resources of that country. Yet, France doesn't want Africans to come to France and stay. So with this policy now, this week, a lot of these African countries are following the examples of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger in rejecting and ejecting French puppets presidents in Africa. Okay? This week, you saw what happened in Chad. France installed Mahatma Debi as president after his father was killed by rebels. So you think that Mahatma Debi owes loyalty to the French nation because they propped him up and kept him in power. But I think the citizens of Chad are beginning to complain that enough is enough with France. France is taking our resources for nothing. We don't want to continue giving our resources to France. We need new partners. So this week, Mahatma Debi, even with the presence of a French foreign minister in Chad, he decided that he has to make overtures to Russia as a new strategic partner. So Chad has ejected France. The humiliation is just too much. Just imagine Charles de Gaulle will be rolling over in his grave. African leaders now are emboldened. Who could believe that an African leader, a nigger, would rise to talk to a French head of state? Charles de Gaulle cannot fathom how this can happen. But it is happening today, thanks to the role of the African youth. African leaders are beginning to stand up for their people. Okay? So Chad is one domino gone. Okay? Bye-bye. Farewell, France. Chad has said farewell, farewell, farewell. Okay? What about Angola? Angola is not really a French colony or a former French colony. It used to be a Portuguese colony. But the West has always tried to get all the oil wealth, because when you look at the competition between the West and Russia and China, wherever there's oil, these guys like sucking oil. It's like their lifeblood. They like sucking oil money. So Angola has a lot of oil. Probably after Nigeria, Angola is the biggest producer of oil in Africa. And President Biden, Joseph Biden of the United States, is visiting Angola. Why? He's visiting Angola because he wants to defend the country against encroachment from China. China has won the hearts and minds of Africans. Chinese investment is everywhere, even as close as Zambia. The Chinese have taken over. So when Joe Biden hosted African leaders in Washington, he made a promise that he's going to visit Africa. He's not been able to keep this promise because of the hurricanes and other natural disasters. But finally, as he's exiting the political stage, right now he's visiting Angola, the Liberate corridor project. He's there to, it's a railway project which takes you from Zambia, all the gold, all the wealth that come, the minerals that are processed from the hinterland. The railway makes it possible to bring this wealth. The white people, they want this money. So they are taking everything. That's why Biden is in Angola this week. It's not because he loves Angolans. It's because America is trying to fight against China so that they can keep the wealth in that part of the world for America and their Western powers. That's what is happening. Okay? What about La République and Ambazonia? Well, in La République, we say November 30th marks the 35th anniversary of the death of Amadou Ahidjo, the first president of La République du Cameroon. He changed it to La République Unie du Cameroon. When Biya came, Biya changed the name to La République du Cameroon. Ahidjo created a unitary state. It is surprising that on this day, November 30th, 2024, there's no mention of Ahidjo's name anywhere in the country. No news report even talked about it. I'm sure the guys know that their imperial president, Paul Biya, does not like to see any mention of Ahidjo's name. But it's interesting that even in the north of the country, the northerners, the people from Gaoundéré, the people from Garoua, the people from Maroua, none of them is even talking about Ahidjo on this very important day. November 30th, 1989 marks the day Ahidjo died. He had a heart attack and died in humiliation in Senegal, Dakar, Senegal. They buried him in a small cemetery called Joff. Since then, his body has not been repatriated to Cameroon because Paul Biya is afraid of Amadou Ahidjo's ghost. The Pope had traveled to Cameroon on many occasions to pray and try to exorcise and fight against the ghost of Ahidjo, because Biya was perturbed by this ghost of Ahidjo. The ghost came just like a ghost in a Shakespearean play, Hamlet and the other plays, fighting against Paul Biya. Paul Biya is so afraid of Ahidjo's ghost to the point that he does not want Ahidjo's remains to be repatriated to Cameroon for any state burial. Ahidjo's wife tried in vain to get Paul Biya to accept to organize a state burial for her husband. She died in vain. Paul Biya is psychologically afraid of accepting this. It's like if Ahidjo comes back, his regime will collapse. So that's why you see, even on a day like this, the only mention I see of Ahidjo on this day is by Akere Muna, the guy who is a lawyer who has emerged now as the opposition leader in La République du Cameroon. He's a guy from Ambazonia. His father sold Ambazonians to La République, and today Ambazonians are suffering the fate. So Akere Muna is the only person who mentioned anything about Ahidjo on November 30th. This is interesting. Then we went back and started looking at the old presidents in Cameroon, which is a place where Cameroonians can commemorate Ahidjo's successes. It has been changed into a national museum. You look at it, it's all gone. I know this building because as a child, when I used to go to school, I used to walk past that building on my way to school. Sometimes I would be so terrified of those guards, presidential guards. But that was the reality of the country. So nobody's talking about Ahidjo. So out of sight, out of mind. Okay? That's basically the plight of Ahidjo. You will not believe that Ahidjo used to be like a colossus who used to bestride the stage in Cameroon. But today nobody talks about him. Everybody is afraid that if you talk about him, Grand Camarade, nobody likes to hear about Grand Camarade anymore. Biya doesn't even want to hear it. So Biya dominates the space in that country, so he doesn't want anybody to talk about Ahidjo. So it's really interesting. And you know, the problem in Ambazonia was really created by Ahidjo. Ahidjo created a unitary state. He did not follow any rules of law. He was listening to the advice he was getting from his French masters. He was following their bidding. Of course, Ahidjo was a puppet. So on a day like today, we salute the martyrs and heroes of Cameroon. But Ahidjo was not a hero. Somebody will ask me, is he a dictator or a builder? I will say he is both. Ahidjo is a dictator and he's also a builder. He built the country from ashes, but he was not a nationalist. He was not a patriot because he killed most of the patriots in that country. Next, we take you to Nigeria.
Welcome to Ayuk Tax Service. We are tax professionals at your service. Our services include tax returns, payroll, bookkeeping, business planning. We provide professional service, years of experience, and are proud to serve your business. Get your maximum tax refund with 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. We are located at 11207A Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Contact us at 240-350-1131. Fax 240-556-0535. Or email service@ayuktaxservice.com. Our hours of operation are weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and weekends 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, please visit us online at www.ayuktaxservice.com.
In Nigeria, the big news is the state visit of Bola Tinubu to France. As we've told you, France has been losing all its former colonies. France has lost Burkina Faso, France has lost Mali, France has lost Niger, and in Guinea, there has been a coup d'etat. Okay? In Gabon, there has been a coup d'etat. So, but there are many other former colonies where things are shaky. So France is losing the influence and the clout it had in much of Africa. Now France is struggling to look for new friends. France is looking for new friends in all places, sometimes the wrong places. So is Nigeria a right place for France to look for friends? Similarly, France was looking for friends in Ghana. Ghana was not a French colony, but Emmanuel Macron travels there to look for business for France. He's looking for French interests. Now, the Nigerian president's visit to France has been the talk of town. Emmanuel Macron pulled all the stops to make this visit filled with fanfare. He even wore African regalia during the sumptuous event. And of course, Taste Money, a song by P-Square, was performed by French gendarmes. And they did a good job. So people, what do you think? They did a good job. I listened to the white guys perform P-Square's Taste Money song. I watched the video again. I'm like, wow. The guys were happy. Why are they happy? Because this is a big occasion for them to get Nigeria's wealth for nothing. Bola Tinubu is selling his country, and the French people are happy. They have lost many of these other colonies, but they are getting a major price in Nigeria because Nigeria has a lot of oil. So now Tinubu is selling his country. What is he getting in return? Some of you are saying, oh, Tinubu knows what he's doing. But this is going to be a fair agreement where France gets something of equal value to what Nigeria is getting? We doubt it. Because whenever France makes deals with African countries, France always gets the better of the deal. That's what happens. Then, there is also news about economic reform. Bola Tinubu is talking a lot about his economic reform. He's going to change things, make things better. We see this news, but there's been a lot of resistance from the north. They don't want this new tax policy. I think a lot of Nigerians have educated us on the impact of this tax policy. In summary, the northerners have been benefiting a lot from the distribution of the national cake. And usually, they get a lion's share because they have a lot of population. Even though the region is arid, but they have a lot of population, the region doesn't really produce much. Maybe millet and peanuts, but that's all they can offer. Yet, they get the lion's share of the national cake. So this time, Bola Tinubu is saying he has to redistribute this national cake to favor production. So the people in the north do not like this new realignment. And that's why they are challenging President Bola Tinubu. How are things going to work out Well, it remains to be seen. But we also got some sad news from Nigeria. We hear some Nigerians who were traveling to other areas using boats died. They drowned. There was mass drowning. And here this even affected people in Kogi State. That's Natasha Potit's state. Kogi State is a very popular state. You remember Natasha Potit, right? She's one of the best leaders we see in Nigeria. So that's sad too.
Welcome to Ayuk Tax Service. We are tax professionals at your service. Our services include tax returns, payroll, bookkeeping, business planning. We provide professional service, years of experience, and are proud to serve your business. Get your maximum tax refund with 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. We are located at 11207A Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Contact us at 240-350-1131. Fax 240-556-0535. Or email service@ayuktaxservice.com. Our hours of operation are weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and weekends 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, please visit us online at www.ayuktaxservice.com.
Next, we take you to Senegal. In Senegal, we also have another major story. Okay? President Diomaye Bassirou Faye responded to the massacre of a lot of his countrymen in 1944, December 1st, 1944, by the French government. They call them les tirailleurs sénégalais. These are like sharpshooters. They were taken from Senegal to France, then they fought for France during the First and Second World War. When these people returned home, they were just asking for unpaid wages. But the French army decided to just open fire and just kill them in cold blood. In the hundreds. They were all massacred in the hundreds and they were buried. So this has been like a very dark chapter in Senegalese history. A lot of Senegalese presidents, even Macky Sall, were afraid of France. They did not want to open the books on this. Now, Ousmane Sonko and Bassirou Diomaye Faye have decided to open this chapter because they promised their people there will be transparency about this tragedy, this massacre. Emmanuel Macron finally has confessed to French crime. So do you see now why, even in Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye is asking France to leave? They want to close all their French bases. They want all French soldiers to leave because this is a new period. They don't want France anymore. And that's the tragedy of France. Okay? Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is another French colony. Right now, Alassane Ouattara is running the country. But a lot of the people are not happy with France. You can see the subtext. Because Laurent Gbagbo did not like France, they kick him out. Even when they decided to eject him, the French used Americans to eject him from the presidency. It's because he's anti-French. They wanted their boy, Ousmane Dramane Ouattara, to take over. He's a puppet. He used to be part of the World Bank and the IMF. So now he's their boy. He gives them all what they want. He may even be running for a fourth term. But it looks like Simone Gbagbo, the former wife of Laurent Gbagbo, has just declared her candidacy. She's running for president. What is it going to take? Well, it remains to be seen. Is she going to be anti-French or is she going to maintain a French bastion in Ivory Coast? That's the question a lot of inquiring minds are asking. Then there are many other countries where we think things are not going to augur well. So keep watch. Watch other French former colonies like Togo, Djibouti, Guinea, Gabon. Things are not going to work so well in those places. Then what about Namibia? Namibia was not really a French colony, but we can tell you that Namibia is having elections, presidential elections. It looks like the counting of the votes has been postponed, so the opposition is not really happy. But the major thread of our story has to do with French people. You are being asked to leave Africa. The African youth is tired of France, and they said, France, go home. France, leave Africa. France, leave Africa. Go home, go home, go home. Thank you very much, my brothers and sisters. We've come to the end of our show. Thank you for your support.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.